Welcome in or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. So today is the reading for the 8/8 Lionsgate portal. So the portal is associated with that date of the 8th of the 8th, which is, numerologically a interesting combination, and then obviously the sound Lionsgate does rhyme quite well with it. And I do find it quite interesting that around this time in the true sky, the sun does begin its transit through the sign of Leo, true sky Leo. So here where I am, however, the sun entered Leo on the 7th, and in some places it may even enter on the 6th. So we're talking the days either side as well are kind of part of that gate or portal that is talked about, but the 8/8 is more specific with the numerology. And interestingly, this year we also do have on the 12th, we will have our total solar eclipse and new moon in the sign of true sky Leo. So interesting that within this time frame, like a few days after, obviously, we do have that really powerful eclipse, which also is conjoined with Regulus. So Regulus is one of the royal stars. It is considered the star of the heart of the lion. And as astrologers, you would probably already know that in the body systems, the heart is Leo's organ. So quite interesting combination there as well. So it's really quite a powerful time at the moment. And Regulus in your chart, so you could look at what house this is in for you and if it's aspecting anything in your chart, which would obviously be this year very much also connected with this South Node transit that we are currently experiencing. But the Regulus placement is often linked to character and also ambition. So it's linked to like the ancient rulers of the planet, the kings. And one could even say that on some level, in a modern sense, it could even be the leaders of the country that it's ruled with too, linked with. But it definitely has that royal connection and legacy, and the archetype of sovereign, which is that part of the psyche that seeks to rule its own reality with dignity and courage. It provides the bravery to lead, but also monitors the native's integrity. And that if this energy is used for petty revenge or narcissistic gain, there will be seen a swift and public decline. It's a star that is linked to those who are destined to be seen, and so it shows a sense of public footprint and soul level authority. So due to the nature of the sun now transiting the sign of Leo, I have changed the decks up here for you, and I tried to choose kingly, even golden types of energy decks for this transit to do with Leo, kind of energies here. So the first deck that we have laid out, I've already cleansed the space and shuffled all the decks, is the Arthurian Tarot. So Arthur is known as, he's kind of like the destined king, and even though he comes from a kingly bloodline, but he was raised away from that. So there's this sense of destiny that, he is this kind of almost reincarnated king that's come back. You probably know a bit about the story because Disney did, I mean, most people know about Disney, the Sword and the Stone movie, which does have remnants of the story in it. So Arthur pulls the sword from the stone because he is the destined king. So this is like a legend. It's also historical and very traditional from Britain, these stories, but they are also linked with other nations that share that history, that cultural history. So we have like connections with France and the Celtic countries, and even into like Germany. Those kind of countries are all linked in here as well. So it definitely has like a Western empire connection here. And on the bottom of the deck for this 8-8 portal, I have pulled the Stone Maiden. So there's some kind of underlying energies here with the Stone Maiden. And it suggests that she is wise and discerning, student of the mysteries, capable and supremely practical. She listens to the voice of the earth, and she's the upholder of the stone hallow. So there could be someone at this time that is holding those energies for you. It doesn't even have to be a female, but it's a part of learning these mysteries, and also someone that's quite practical and listens to the earth as well. So the first card that we have, however, is the Round Table, which is fascinating to me because this card is similar to your Wheel of Fortune, and we do currently have that. Jupiter is linked to the Wheel of Fortune card. We do currently have that Jupiter in Cancer placement. And here it suggests that themes are around evolution, cyclic change, sequential patterns which result from any action, adaptation, incarnation or manifestation of a project, the passing of a concept, project or relationship to another phase, cosmic law or karma. So the meanings in this deck are a little bit different from a standard tarot deck, but I do think that it's quite interesting that, especially with that last meaning there as well, that cosmic law and karma, because we do have these nodal involvement here, and that can also mean that, and especially because at the moment it is the South Node that is the connection with these eclipses. I mean, the full moon eclipse will involve the North Node more so as well. But this new moon in True Sky Leo is a total solar eclipse, and it is involving the South Node. So there will be some kind of, past, with karma, they say it's normally from past lives. It can be from a current life as well, depending on your actions. But also this cosmic law, there are some higher powers at play at the moment as well with all this that is unfolding. But obviously, it is good to surrender to that, but also know that we are also all contributing to what is happening as well. So quite interesting. And then it even talks about that incarnation and manifesting energies, which I think if there are any incoming souls at the moment, obviously there would be all over the world, people are born every day, they would have this imprint in their birth chart. So I think these incoming souls coming in are really bringing in a lot of this energy as well with them. And also they will be quite, I think, important in the future as well. So we have some really interesting astrological transits currently as well for the 8-8 True Sky Lionsgate portal. So we do have that moon really near that kind of Taurus Gemini cusp area. So it will be in Taurus for part of the 8-8, and then it'll be in Gemini as well. And that is quite interesting to me because we do have a lot going on there. Like I said, Jupiter is in Cancer, so then you refer back to the moon, and then the moon is in that in-between state. And then the moon being in Taurus, its ruler Venus, then refers back to Venus. And currently we do have a really interesting alignment occurring with a lot of the planets. It's like a kite formation with a grand trine with Venus, Uranus, and Pluto. So in the true sky Earth signs, we have this grand trine going on. And then we also have sextiles from Venus to Mercury, and also sextile from Uranus to Jupiter. So we have like really, it's quite beautiful to look at that kite formation. And we also have the Pluto opposing Mercury, especially tightly, but then also still opposing Jupiter. It is tighter with Mercury. And then, like I said, with the moon, yes, it's in the Taurus, and that refers to that Venus, which is linked to that grand trine. But then also when it moves into Gemini, it will refer back to that mercurial energy. And not only is Mercury like the center point of this kite formation with Pluto, which to me really suggests there's like a knowledge, an uncovering of some kind of knowledge at this time, maybe even deep, like esoteric kind of knowledge potentially with that Pluto energy, and even about, because Capricorn is this sign to do with traditionally, well, very much traditions, but also higher up positions as well within traditions. So there could definitely be, Mercury here, is balancing that energy out. And Mercury has just moved into true sky Cancer. So then that refers back to that moon again. So it's bouncing all around, but there's definitely a really interesting energy at the moment. So like I was saying, and then also we do have Venus is also opposing Neptune currently, Neptune in Pisces. And then Pluto is sextiling Neptune, and Uranus is sextiling Neptune. So there's actually two kites, one of them pointing up on the chart that I have here, up with the point area in the 10th house, and then the other one in the 6th house. So earthy houses as well, which, to be honest, even when I thought about the shape of a kite moving around, kites do kind of like tilt a little bit on their axis, like they do move around a little bit, and obviously depending on the wind they can change direction. So I do think that is quite interesting there as well. And obviously people have talked about this Babbo's basket, and I even have heard another true sky astrologer talking about Ceridwen's cauldron she was talking about, and I actually think that's really lovely name for it as well. Babbo was the astrologer that discovered this was going to be happening. At least the first to have written it down that I know of and really talked about it. But yeah, obviously Ceridwen is an ancient Celtic goddess, and she really did, her cauldron was all about the mysteries. So it's quite, to me, there's a lot of really potent energy around, and I do think that if there are any incoming souls born around these times, they're going to be quite powerful people in the future. I think that even quite strong change agents, because we really do have very activated Uranus at the moment. And then obviously that is in Taurus, and then that goes back to that Venus again, and then that Venus is with this grand trine, and there's just some really beautiful energies. Obviously within a birth chart they would be positioned in their own birth chart individually, different to the chart that I have here. But yeah, so interesting that we did have that first card with the round table, and it did mention some of those energies I was talking about, with that maybe linking with that South Node Regulus conjunction at the moment, and that upcoming eclipse. new moon in Leo, true sky Leo. The crowning card though for the month here for the 8-8 portal is Stone 5, which is interesting to me too, because we have that activated trine in the earth signs, and obviously stone is linked with the earth element in this deck, and this is like the crowning card here. And it's quite a beautiful deck, this Arthurian tarot. So it's like a standing stone here, Stone 5. And its meaning is linked to adversity, insecurity, strain, barren prospects, loneliness, destitution, loss of home or means, the need for a firm instinctive grounding before undertaking a project. So it's linked to that traditional Five of Pentacles card. However, it does have a slightly different meaning in this deck, but I do think that is quite interesting because, I mean, currently, at least the country I'm in, we do have a housing crisis. We have a, financial crisis. Everything is so expensive and there's a lot going on. And I know that even in my corner of the world, it's basically going on everywhere. Lots of places are really are struggling, and I think everyone really feels that we need change. We need a better basically system for the people. That the systems that we've had may have been great, but I think that and this is my opinion to some degree, there is also room for abuse. There's like new social hierarchies that are forming, that I think the systems we were in were kind of designed to dismantle older systems, especially to do with like royal ruling classes, and to give the people more empowerment. But slowly the system we're in is shifting back to almost that old system where the people are less and less empowered, and the rulers are getting away with more and more. At least I see some of that. I know things aren't perfect, and nothing, will be. But yeah, I definitely do see that, which is interesting because the next card we have here is the Seeker. So the Seeker in this deck is like the Fool energy. So definitely there's a new beginning. And like I was saying, that last card was all about that adversity and the insecurity and barren prospects, loss of home. It's quite harsh, that Stone 5 as this crowning card. So it's kind of like everyone's psyches or higher beings have this awareness of that. But then we have this seeker come in who's kind of seeking a new path, a new way. They know that life is abundant and it doesn't need to be like this. Something's wrong. So the meanings for the Seeker in this deck are the childlike trust, divine discontent, carefree enthusiasm, protection, the folly to be wise, optimism, adventure, spontaneity, youthful energy, and longing to find one's heart's desire. So obviously those things are very important too, and it's interesting it did talk about the heart's desire because of that, once again, that Regulus, the heart of the lion, which is really prominent at the moment, involved with this, South Node and that kind of karmic node that we currently have activated. Then the next card we have is the Lady of the Lake. So the Lady of the Lake in this deck is like your in a general tarot, she's like the high priestess figure. And if you know the story, she does kind of have that kind of personality in the story. She is, Morgan Le Fay, and she is King Arthur's sister. So she's just as powerful, but on that feminine level, and she's very connected with the otherworldly energies. And here it says that she has esoteric knowledge, enlightenment, inspiration, wisdom, the ability to impart instruction, counsel, psychic healing and learning. So these are some of the energies associated with her. And this line of cards here in the middle is more so to do with the middle chakras. So we've got like your throat and your heart and your solar plexus kind of energies here coming in the center, whereas the top cards were more the crown and the third eye and also the throat energies. Which interestingly, now we are actually we're at our kind of heart of the matter, the central card, which, you know, it touches every other card in the spread. And we have stone 9. So once again, we have those earth energies. So this would be like your 9 of Pentacles kind of energy, which is a very abundant energy, which is kind of what I was saying, is that, you know, it might seem like things are hard and there's, you know, lack in certain areas and things, but actually the world is so abundant around us, and it's just that there's some kind of mismanaged it's like there's a glitch, you know, there's something going wrong here, and I think everyone is really aware of it. Obviously we all need to play our part in this situation. So stone 9's meanings are around accomplishment, enjoyment of solitary pursuits, love of nature, aesthetic pleasure derived from one's goods, relaxation and leisure, ease and fulfillment of physical sensations. So it does have a slightly different meaning to, you know, a general tarot of that 9 of Pentacles, but very lovely. And I see it really well in this card with all these all these animals out in nature. But definitely I think that this is a really good time to touch base with nature, and like it suggests, to also spend time, you know, relaxing and having some leisure time and ease, you know, to really help restore your, you know, that overwhelm with this situation, with that crowning card of that loss and hard times that have been occurring for some time now. And then the next card we have here, which is our Spear King. So we now have a kingly figure stepping in here. And the Spear King is linked to Percival's uncle. He's part of initiatory training, and he severs an iron staple, which immediately renews itself after each blow. So it's like a magical weapon that he has here. And it says that he is honest and passionate, committed to his intuitive understanding of the land, even to the point of sacrifice. He teaches the ways of healing by his wisdom. He is the upholder of the spear, which both heals and wounds. So the Spear King is like our King of Swords. And it is quite true that you know, obviously our mind and our words can, you know, heal and wound. It's very important what we think and what we say to others in that sense. So that is quite interesting too, because we have this like intuitive Lady of the Lake, who is kind of like a helper really. And then we have this, you know, abundance of resources here, and then we have this, you know, King of Swords kind of figure here, who's like this master of his intellect, and he is also linked to the Seeker. So there's this new journey is of the mind as well. That's really important. And I mean, it is the mind where ideas start, and even like laws and things that get written that we all have to follow, which do structure our society. They do start in the mind, and they are written as well, you know, before they are enacted. So it is quite a really important step, that if we're not thinking and we're not communicating and we're not, you know, contributing in these ways, that, you know, things don't flow the same. Then we have, so the bottom 3 cards here to do with the lower chakras, so your base and your sacral, and then the solar plexus again. So we have Spear 10, which is quite interesting card to have here at the base. not the last card, but the first. So first of the last three. So Spear 10 is about Corbin or Corbinek, which was the home of the Grail King Pelez. He was wounded in both thighs and unable to walk, and awaited the coming of the Grail winner to heal him. So we have like a wounded king archetype here, waiting. It's quite interesting. Its meanings are around responsibility, excessive burdens, overexpansion of resources, resolution by test of fire, crisis brings restoration, the need to delegate to others, or the readjustment of power in order that the intuitive faculties can operate. That is fascinating, because we do have this Lady of the Lake above him there, the Spear of 10, and then we have the Lady of the Lake, and she's all about these intuitive, facilities, really. So that's quite interesting. So there's something that needs to happen. Yeah, readjustment of power. And that is pretty much what I was saying as well. And even with this South Node conjoining that Regulus and all that, and it's to do with the kings and the rulers, and it's the South Node, so it's all about the past. It's not so much about the future. There's some energy hanging on here that needs to shift. Then the base of the matter here is the cauldron, which beautifully, like I said earlier, with those astrological alignments we had going on, there's another sidereal astrologer. I think I wish I could remember the name of her and her channel, because she's great, who talks about Caradwan's cauldron with these aspects. And here we have, at the bottom here, in these cards, we have the cauldron. So, which in that, it has a lot of the mythological energies here. So it has the attendees of the cauldron, and it's the cauldron of rebirth. And we have the mother, the maiden, and the crone here. And then also in the background are the carvings of the ancient kings, including Pen Anwen, the lord of the underworld. And it also says near the cauldron in adder darts as well. There's an adder there as well, which, oh my goodness, that is so interesting, because so at the moment in the Vedic system, they are saying that the total solar eclipse, the new moon, will be in Cancer, and at the moment they are saying it's in the nakshatra Ashlesha, which is the serpent or the naga. So there is a very serpentine energy at the moment in that solar eclipse as well. And then here we have on this card, we have the adder, we have a serpent here. So that is really interesting. Kind of synchronicity here. So yeah, so the cauldron is the main object of Arthur's descent into Anwen on the ship of Pyrrdwyn. The poem Pridio Anwen, I'm probably mispronouncing that, tells that the cauldron owned by Pen Anwen is cooled by the breath of 9 maidens. So then we have this sacred 9 thing coming in, which is interesting, because obviously it is the 8-8 portal, but then, like I said, the days either side are very resonant with it as well. And, after 8 comes 9. So and obviously 9 is a very sacred number according to a lot of traditions, as well as obviously the 8 and 7 and other numbers. And it suggests here also that there are the 3 figures, like I said, the maiden, mother, and crone, attending to the cauldron for the 9-fold sisterhood, which is referred to in the poem as aspects of the goddess, who frequently appears under 3 guises, such as the sisterhood under the aegis of Morgan in the Vita Merlini. So Morgan was that Lady of the Lake. So then we have her, this is her sisterhood here, where they are said to be in possession of the arts and sciences. Morgan herself is a healer in this text, and various parallels texts speak of her ability with the admixture and brewing of herbal remedies for the care of Arthur's wounds. So that's so interesting because we did have that wounded king archetype before this card as well. And then we here have the cauldron, you know, they are brewing something here. The cauldron of renewal. And it says that, yeah, the story of Taliesin and Ceridwen's cauldron, which is one of knowledge and inspiration. But there's also the cauldron of rebirth, which Bran the Blessed owns. So there's quite a few cauldrons in Celtic and, you know, mythologies, as well as the cauldron which Arthur seeks is said to be one which will not boil the food of a coward. This vessel clearly reflects the Celtic custom of appointing special cuts of meat for warriors, poets, and kings, all of which were laid down by law. Some aspects of all three cauldrons is apparent in the vessel of the Grail itself, for it gives knowledge of the other world, it renews the wasteland and heals the wounded king, and it gives the food which everyone desires according to various sources. The chains by which the cauldron hangs in this card connect the three worlds, the underworld, here represented by the ancient kings, the ancestral heroes who have descended to seek the wisdom of the cauldron, the earth, which seeks empowerment of the cauldron, and the other world, represented by the sisterhood tending the cauldron. Both ancestral kings and maidens oversee the regenerative forces of the cauldron. They are the sons of knowledge and daughters of memory within the Celtic tradition, a concept also known as the interrelation of sibyls and prophets in later Christian traditions. So there definitely was like a fusion of traditions when Christianity came into Europe. It did actually preserve or integrate, excuse me, a lot of the older traditions within itself, and the Celtic connection to Christianity is actually really quite old. So yeah, the cauldron represents the regeneration of all orders of creation in the land of Logos. There is no loss, only changing and transmutation in this life beyond life. It's the source of spiritual empowerment to the initiate who goes beyond the gates of death in the search for the Grail. Meanings are regeneration, fusion, recombination of resources or potentials, tempering outer circumstance by inner values, blending or merging with new ideas, polarized living, correct balancing of one's personality. So that is the cauldron card, which is the base of the matter for this reading of the 8-8 Lionsgate. Fascinating. So there's definitely, to me, I was really feeling it with these ancestral kings and these ancestral heroes kind of looking on as well. And I do feel like that energy is very apparent at the moment with this Regulus South Node conjunction and soon to be new moon. So we're going to have the sun and the moon conjoin it as well. What a powerful transit. We are in already, but also is ongoing. The last card of this main deck that we have here is Stone Hallow. So once again, we have another stone card. And Stone Hallow was even referred to earlier as well. So Stone Hallow is like your Ace of Pentacles, similar to, obviously in this deck it's a bit different. And here it's the underground cavern of Gwynbuil. Shows his board glowing with power. That looks like a chess or checkerboard. Interesting. The Gwynbuil, literally wood cunning board, was one of the prime treasures of the Isle of Britain. Whoever possessed it or played upon it was likewise part of the archetypal movements within the land itself. The meanings are around wisdom, spiritual treasures, consolidation and establishment, attainment, fulfillment, prosperity, and the faculty of sensation or instinct, and also mother wit. Mother wit. Wow. So that is fascinating to me that we did get 3 stone cards here, not all in connection, but all connected to that center card, which is the stone 9. And then we had that grand trine with those Earth, Venus in Virgo, Uranus in Taurus, and that Pluto in Capricorn there. The next deck that I'm going to clarify with is the tarot of the golden wheel. So another beautiful tarot, however, it has more of the Slavic tradition with it. And on the bottom of the deck is the Devil card. So that underlying energy of that stone maiden earlier now has been clarified by the Devil. So to me, that is saying that, you know, because she was about these ancient mysteries and the study of the ancient mysteries, the Devil is about what binds you. The Devil is, you know, not the devil we think of a figure. It's more of an energy. It's, you know, linked with addictions and things like that. So to me, it's saying that, you know, just be aware that, you know, uncovering mysteries and learning about all these different things, it can be quite addictive, but don't get too lost in it, you know, because it is just symbolic. And I hope I'm not destroying some of the magic there for you as well. I know that some say you shouldn't say words like just, because it really limits the meanings of things. But for me here, I felt like I needed to say that a bit here about those energies, because we obviously have that devil energy, and I don't want to bind people to something that might take them out of their real life. You know, I do think it's important, if we can put aside time to study, you know, higher knowledge and, you know, mysterious things and whatever, but also we do have our lives to live, and we want to live them as healthfully as we can. So yeah, I hope I'm not bringing down that energy, but I just felt like that combination was telling me that. So then we have, to clarify, the round table, which was that kind of almost Wheel of Fortune type of card. We have the Ace of Swords here. So the Ace of Swords is all about new ideas. And so I'm really feeling, because this Jupiter in Cancer transit currently is all about like home and family and nourishment and these important things that really are quite foundational. And health, you know, they are associated with our health as well. You know, if you don't have somewhere to live, if you don't have a family, if you don't have, you know, nourishment and, you know, people that care for you, like life is tough, you know. Back in ancient societies, when you were, if you'd done something bad that wasn't punishable, like say by death or something, you were often exiled, and that was a hard life. You know, the whole tribe would turn their back on you, and you would be on your own, out doing your own thing. And yeah, some people might have survived well like that, but it's a hard life, you know. So I really do feel like that Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter in Cancer, yes, transit is kind of reminding us that, you know, there is so much abundance and beneficial energies there with these Cancer energies. It is also a point of exaltation in astrology as well. But then, yeah, having the Ace of Swords here, I do feel like it is saying that we're all getting new ideas about this, and that it's kind of like we're all being somewhat aware of, you know, our nourishment or lack of, or our families or lack of, or, you know, there is definitely, especially the home situation, like I said, with this housing crisis, but it's not just a housing crisis, it's also just a cost of living crisis. Yeah, it's that struggle energy is just really, you know, draining on your resources, and in that sense, you know, your mental, your spiritual, your physical. So you really got to look after yourself kind of extra on those levels, because you know that financial drain is really apparent, and if you don't have that security, it can really be quite wounding. So then, to clarify, that Stone of 5, which is kind of like that Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles type of energy, we have the Ace of Wheels. The Ace of Wheels, like the wheels in this tarot, it's quite beautiful tarot, are the like pentacle energy here. And here we have, it's like the Taurus bull, which I do find fascinating actually, because we do currently have Uranus in Taurus, which I do find quite interesting, because obviously Taurus is to do with, you know, money and income and, you know, worth, self-worth, you know, that kind of thing is linked with wealth as well. We have this bull here. So the Ace of Wheels would be like your Ace of Pentacles, which does represent some kind of new financial beginning. And this is about that place of lack. So if this is where you're at, then, you know, it's looking a lot more positive after that last card of that Stone of 5. You know, the Ace of Wheels. And also Leo is also linked with gold and wealth. So now that we do have the sun transiting through Leo, even though we do have the South Node there, it's going to be quite an intense period, this Leo cycle. Leo is definitely linked with that as well. So there could definitely be a lot of new opportunities that are starting now, that are coming around through this transit. And interesting too is with the 8-8. 8 in the Chinese believe that 8 is very lucky with material resources. In the numerology, 8 is also linked with Saturn. Saturn is also traditionally a god of wealth. He was a god of the earth and agriculture, and also wealth. So and then interestingly, we do have true sky transit of Pluto in Capricorn, which Saturn rules, in with that Pluto energy. And Pluto is also linked to like underground wealth, so it's that hidden wealth. And then also Saturn is currently in true sky Pisces. And you know, Pisces is a very changeable sign. Also, it is retrograde, and Pluto's retrograde as well. And Neptune is retrograde as well. And we do have Neptune in Pisces too. However, yeah, I do think that Pisces can get a bit of an instinct when it comes to money. Obviously, be careful, because there is that delusionary aspects there too. So then for the seeker, we have the 6 of Wheels. So once again, more wheel energy. So there's a lot of earth energy coming up in this reading, which is interesting, because like I said, we had that grand trine in the earth currently. So the 6 of Wheels would be like your 6 of Pentacles. So it's actually quite a positive card, I think, now as well, because it does talk about those that have wealth sharing with those that don't, or that need help. Here in this image, it's looks like a mother and a child, and she's giving the child an apple, which is, you know, obviously a beautiful gesture. You need to feed your children, and obviously you want to feed them something healthy. So it's quite a nice energy here. But in the traditional tarot, it's more that there's some needy figures, and this wealthy person is kind of deciding who to help. Obviously, like I was saying about that Jupiter in Cancer transit as well, and I think everyone's really at the moment working on that whole the mother, and how important the mother is in our society, because I think it's been overlooked for way too long, and especially in the West, where our fertility is very low, and our people you know, are really grappling with our future as well. And not just Western countries. I know that a lot of countries are having this as well. And I think it's because that mother energy has been kind of, is it denigrated over time, when it is actually a really symbolic, important role in our society. The caretakers and children are really a blessing. But it's interesting that it also is to clarify the seeker here, which is all about a new path and a new journey. So hopefully that is, I mean, that's the energies here. So there's going to be help from higher up for those that need the help. And it's a new cycle beginning with that energy. Which is lovely to hear. Then we have, for the Lady of the Lake, we have Temperance. So beautifully paired here as well, because I was having that energy with that Stone Maiden and the Devil telling me about, you know, that studying the mysteries is great, but to not get too lost in it, to not get too addicted to these energies. And then here we're having this Lady of the Lake, which is these intuitive, inner knowing, dreamlike energies, and also linked with the esoteric as well. So having that Temperance card to clarify that Lady of the Lake energy. So the Temperance is about, that moderation, balance, peace even, and also just not going to extremes with things. So having the Lady of the Lake, which is all about, like I said, the intuitive and the esoteric and, the inner knowing and even dreams and things like that. To me, to me, it's really saying that it's really important to balance this at this time. And that even by using these abilities, so using your intuition, using that inner knowing, so maybe even throughout your day when it's appropriate, obviously not in life-death situations or anything that's hugely meaningful, but maybe on smaller levels, maybe even it's about what you're eating or something like that, and saying to yourself, is this what I really feel like? Or, especially when it comes to like food addiction and food noise and things like that, sometimes we might be hungry, but maybe not for the right things, or, depending on your knowledge base as well. However, I'm just thinking that by using those feelings and inner knowing, it could actually bring you a sense of peace and calm as well, because you're kind of actually using your inner, deeper sense of self to really help you in your path in life, and like I said, even if it's just small decision making throughout the day, it can really help to calm the mind and the body and the spirit, because you are reconnecting, you're actually guiding your own life rather than letting everything around you control you. So then for the central card here, we have, interestingly, the Seven of Wheels to clarify that stone 9, which is like both of them are a pentacle type of cards. So it would be like your 9 of Pentacles with your 7 of Pentacles. So to me, this is really saying that to reach this abundant state of the 9, you're really going to have to think about what it is you've been doing that has been working for you. What are the decisions in your life that you've made that have actually worked out well? And so as I think you probably couldn't see it very well, but as you can see in this card, he is sowing these wheels into the soil, and he's also spreading seeds, and the birds are eating some of these seeds. So obviously that's not going to work out. Those seeds that are being eaten by those birds are not going to sprout. But the deeper wheels, depending on, I don't think they're tasty to the birds, but that situation may work out. So here it is suggesting maybe even planning things that obviously these birds aren't going to eat, but also in a symbolic sense of how deep you're planning things, or how well they're going to what kind of start you're giving things as well. So this is all about the sowing here, not so much the reaping. And so here at this time, you really could try to sow new seeds for the future, which will be a benefit to you in the future. So really think about how you're doing things. And definitely this is to clarify that stone 9, which is all about that material abundance. I think this could be a really good time. Like I said, with the Leo energy linked to like wealth and things like that, this could be a really good time, not only for planning ahead, but also definitely a lot of planning ahead here. Yes. But also having that Temperance card as well. And like I said, the Lady of the Lake, checking back in with yourself, like as to what you were doing. And this could just be with like your time, how you spend your day. Is that really how you want to be spending your day? Or are you being influenced by others around you, or, past decisions that maybe you made, or, looking at why it is you do what you do. and if it is working out for you. Then for the Spear King, interestingly, we have the Death card. So the Death card doesn't always mean a death, but this is quite a beautiful card, this one. I love the colors of the starry sky. And it's got like that plant. I don't know if it's an oak. It looks maybe potentially like an oak growing out of the skull of this deer. It's quite symbolic, you know, of new growth coming out of old. So this Spear King was about this king who forges this weapon that, you know, continually renews even when it's used. So it's like this magical weapon. And I was kind of referring it to, because it is like this link to the King of Swords, I was, you know, musing that here it's linked to the higher powers and structures that man has created in our world, like laws and acts and things like this, that basically are constantly renewed. They are part of the societies that we live in, and they generally don't get damaged. It's really quite hard to change laws and acts. It takes a lot of money and a lot of people working really hard on these things to actually to do that. But yet we have this clarifying card of death. So to me, this is saying there is serious change on the way. There is like the death of something and a new cycle beginning, which we already had with the Seeker, but now we have the clarification as well with the Death card here. And it's, to me, suggesting that not only is it going to be about potentially even leaders losing some of their powers, you know, those that thought that they had eternal regenerative, even linked to the military and things here. I don't know, but there is that spear involved. And then also the clarification for the Seeker was this 6 of Wheels, which was all about those that have helping those that need. So that's really quite lovely here. And the higher minded energies of the Leo energy are about that. I mean, it's about, sure, they're the leaders, but they're meant to be the good leaders, you know, the benevolent leaders, the even spiritual leaders. Leo is a very spiritual sign. Like I said, it's linked to the heart chakra. So it's all about love and giving and all of these energies. Then we have for the Spear 10 down here that we had on the bottom row here, which was about that wounded king archetype waiting for healing. We have the clarification of the moon. So the moon card can bring the energies of like doubts and fears and things like that, but it also brings a very intuitive, similar to the High Priestess, a knowing, an inner knowing, and also can bring very prophetic dreams as well. Here, interesting that we do have also a lot of lunar energy prominent at the moment. Like, not only do we have Jupiter in Cancer, and then obviously, like I said, today specifically with that Taurus and then Gemini moon, really connecting to all these other transits that are going on, but we do also have now Mercury in True Sky Cancer as well. So obviously Cancer and Mercury is, I wouldn't say the best pairing, but really interesting pairing, because it's all about the mind then focused on Cancerian energies. So Spear 10 to me is quite a mental card, like it's that 10 of Swords type of energy. And then we have for that Cauldron card, very interestingly here, we have clarification of the Hanged Man. So the Cauldron was all about these priestesses and these ancient feminine archetypes, and how they are linked to these past leaders and these folk heroes and ancestors, and this renewal of life, this continual renewal situation going on. And then we have the Hanged Man. So there's some kind of sacrifice needed here. Which is interesting because the Cauldron stories, I believe the one with Taliesin, on this card there is this fish, and in those stories, Taliesin shape shifts into all different creatures. I believe even there is the old stories of the trout of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge. Sorry, this looks like a trout. Involved as well, and how the fish kind of does really sacrifice itself to give us knowledge, which I actually find, because I do have a background in nutrition and natural health, I do find that quite interesting that salmon has some quite high levels of omega-3s, and omega-3s are really amazing for your brain, basically every cell in your body, but definitely the brain and intelligence. And that mythology talks about them being like this salmon of knowledge and how they're really good for the brain. And it's like our ancestors knew, and they did, of course they knew things, just through a different lens. But yeah, interesting, because the Hanged Man is linked also with Neptune. It's a bit of a Pisces card, and we do have currently that Neptune in Pisces, so that is a really strong, Neptune is in its home sign. So these energies, these Piscean energies, are very strong at the moment. And obviously we need to be aware of the maybe negative sides of that. Neptune is retrograde at the moment amongst, Saturn and also Pluto. But yeah, there is that relationship also with, say, Pluto in Capricorn, and then Capricorn's ruler Saturn in Pisces, and then Pisces ruler Neptune in Pisces. So it kind of stops there. Those energies do really stop there. And it really is, Pisces is that sign of like self-sacrifice. Some even say, well, it is the victim as well. And there is, the Jesus, the Christ kind of energies connected in there. So it is interesting that we've got this combination here, the cauldron with. So the cauldron card is similar to your like temperance card, at least the number. And because we did have the temperance card as well in this main reading, so we've had it twice. This is a really important energy for this portal, is that temperance energy. Then for the stone hallow, you have the star. We have the star here. So the stone hallow card had the energy of that wisdom, the spiritual treasures, and also the fulfillment and prosperity, which is fascinating because the star card is all about, hopes and wishes after a hard time. It's a really beautiful card to have. So together, that's a really really lovely meaning to end these main cards reading with, is this stone hallow, which would be like a Ace of Pentacles with the star card. So here it's about manifesting those and wishes and hopes for basically some kind of security, like resources, and you could say finances, but I think also just in that sense of, earth security. But this one heightenedly mentions the wisdom and the spiritual treasures. So these treasures aren't just on that physical plane, they're on like a spiritual plane as well, which is really quite beautiful. And there's a fulfillment of them, and there's a sense of prosperity. So that is a really lovely combination that we have there to end this main decks. The next cards I have for you are the past life oracle cards. So I just felt they were a good fit for these readings for the Leo transit due to that South Node in Leo at the moment. And on the bottom of the deck we have the card for health. So there's something that is really significant, an underlying energy around health at the moment, because we do also have that link up with the heart of the lion. Obviously, look after your health, that's really important, but I am thinking maybe it could even be heart type of health things that you need to be aware of. And that doesn't have to be physical either, but obviously, if you need to see your doctor, like, please do. The crowning card, we have galactic. So these cards are all about these past life energies. So if you have feelings around, say, the starseed energy, and maybe even like regular starseed energies, but doesn't have to be, this could be very relevant for now, or something to look into if you haven't already. And this is for that stone 5 with the Ace of Wheels. We've got the galactic past life energies coming in. And then we also have the central card. We have monk or nun, which is quite interesting, for the stone 9 and the 7 of Wheels. So some of you also may have had not just these galactic, I mean, I think everyone's connected to the galactic, you know, we all come from the stars. However, there's also this monk or nun energies coming in. So maybe that could be also resonant to you as well. And then we also have, for the base, we have Greco-Roman. So you may have had some ancestry in the Greco-Roman Empire, or even you may have ancestry literally from these people still in your blood. It might not have been just, you know, a past life. And also potentially in the health fields as well. Like you may have been a healer in a past life or something like that. It could have even been in the Greco-Roman times, and you may have even been a monk and a nun as well. So the next cards that I have are the Gilded Lenormand cards. And on the bottom of the deck here we have card number 40, which isn't in the traditional Lenormand, but it is in the Gilded. And it's actually the card of masks. So, and it has the dual nature. It actually has 3. Interesting, because we have that grand trine. It has the sun and the moon, which is fascinating. Oh my goodness, because right in the center here of this card, we have this this mouth open with this portal, and literally right here in the center, like this kind of face, we have the moon on one cheek and we have the sun on the other. And the 8-8 portal really is like that transition between the signs of Cancer into the sign of Leo, which is pretty much what we have here on this card. We have the moon and the sun, so the rulers of those signs, and then we have that portal in the middle. So that's fascinating. This is the underlying energies here. And the masks is linked to the kind of different faces that we wear, the different masks that we wear, and how sometimes they can portray very different aspects. In fact, often there's hidden aspects as well. But often, yeah, see, if you can see the moon one, the mouth is downwards, whereas the solar one is, the mouth is up. So it often has this energy of, say, joy and sorrow, and, you know, these kinds of opposing emotions here. Which does remind me, interestingly, that we did get that Greco-Roman card, because their ancient stories and performances and things often had the, you know, the tragedies and the comedies. So that is really making me think of that as well. So maybe even this past life, you could have even been involved in that as well. Like you could have even been like an actor or something in some of these ancient plays in the Greco-Roman world. Definitely that energy has come up for me here, and that it's about encouraging social situations and adapting to different roles at this time, and that you may need to embrace duality or balance opposing aspects of yourself in a situation. And then also it is also about looking beyond appearances and questioning motivations. Consider how roles and personas are influencing this situation, and reflect on authenticity in relationships and decisions. So that's the underlying energy there. For the crowning card, we have the stork, and that's linked with the galactic. That's really beautiful, this galactic stork. And the central, we have the mice with the monk or nun. And then we have the clover with the Greco-Roman. Wow, what a combination. So the mice with the stalk indicates difficult changes, consume from a foster parent. Interesting. Infesting a nomad, steal from a nurse. So these interpretations are very strange, actually. Other interpretations include the desire to improve. Energy is low, so the process stores or delivers less than expected. The bond, a fear of letting go of the old, which eats the power of the new beginning. So yeah, be really aware of that. That's fascinating. Definitely also because when I looked at these cards here, the monk and the nun and the galactic, I didn't see a total conflict, but I know that historically there has been. To some, some say that you can't be like into, say, Christianity or some of these faiths and also be into, say, astrology or those kind of things, that there is like a conflict there. I don't see it. In fact, within the Bible itself, there's actually a lot of astronomical and astrological references. So I don't really see it. And in fact, just in astrology, there's a lot of even, kind of biblical stuff as well, like with angels and things like that. So it is interesting that I did see that a little bit. And then having this stalk with the mice suggests that, yeah, there's potentially like a new beginning on this galactic level. But this monk or nun energy is kind of like, there's a stress and a tension, and there's kind of like the mice are very destructive. They'll eat all your food and they can spread diseases and things like that. And I think that ultimately, even though there is a positive side to, Christianity and, monks and nuns, I'm sure they've done and do amazing work. However, there has been some destructive work done by them as well. And sometimes it can be because they were maybe a bit too extreme in their practice. I don't really want to go into like the details here exactly about what I'm talking about, because I don't want my channel to get flagged for certain language. But I know here where I am, a lot of churches have been sold off to pay certain debts that the church owed certain people. This is a big thing. I think that's going on all around the world. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, so that came up for me as well there. And then also the Seven of Wheels is all about past actions and looking to what worked and what didn't. And I think that maybe, yeah, like I said, there is some spiritual merit for these kinds of energies and these people, but I don't think it's the whole picture. I think there was also a lot of unhealthy practices that were occurring and that probably still are occurring as well. And I think that sometimes when certain faith or belief can be dominant in a culture, this can be more inclined to happen potentially as well, because the Abrahamic faiths have dominated the planet now for thousands of years, I guess, or at least the last 1,000 or so, and they still are the dominant faiths of the planet. It doesn't mean obviously that other people haven't done wrong too. I'm not trying to say that. But then also with it's suggesting having the mouse with the clover is a luck that fades, because the clover is associated with good luck, and that it's a small win or a chance quickly loses its shine because little issues or losses show up. And it's lucky, but it's not all the way lucky, where the benefit melts away in the details. So that's kind of a little bit the energies I was picking up with that, the monk and the nun. And then even the Greco-Roman Empire itself, when it did get Christianized, there was a lot of knowledge that was lost. Like, yes, the church did, like I said, absorb a lot of cultural knowledge and bring some of it along with it. But there was a lot of knowledge that was lost, and a lot of traditions that were very old and actually really beautiful societies and beliefs and things as well that we only really have remnants of now. Like obviously in this picture, they literally have the ruins of a temple. I'm not sure which god that would be or goddess, but yeah. So that is, you know, a bit unlucky, isn't it? The losses aspect. The next cards that I have for you are interesting. So I do have the Mantegna Tarot. So the Mantegna Tarot was not created by the famous Venetian painter Andrea Mantegna, who was born in 1431 to 1506, but they use the works of art of Andrea Mantegna, and that these cards are among the very first examples of engravings which came to light around 1460, possibly in Ferrara, by an anonymous artist, Francesco del Corsa school. So they had a school. The iconography rather must definitely be attributed to a learned scholar at the time, possibly tied to humanist Giuliano Guerini. I believe he died in 1460, Circle, who worked for a long time for Leone di Estel, Lord of Ferrara, designing pictorial cycles similar in certain respects to the Mantegna Tarot. Between the end of the 15th century and the middle of the next, many other versions of the deck outside Italy as well came to light, copied by great artists such as Albrecht Dürer, Michael Wohlgemuth, Hans Bockmeier, and Johann Ladenspelder. Today, the present deck, redesigned by Bulgarian artist Atanasov, who also painted the cards with soft colors, is also added to this prestigious list. So, as a whole, the Mantegna Tarot represents a summary of medieval encyclopedism. In short, it is a microcosmic containing 5 classes of figures corresponding to the social situation of the late Middle Ages, the intellectual dimensions, and the spiritual worlds. And it's in accordance with Pythagorean and Platonic philosophy, which considered the number 10 perfect. Interesting there that the 10th card is that Wheel of Fortune, which is linked to Jupiter, and it's currently in exalted Cancer, in its exaltation in Cancer. Containing the entire universal reality, each class consists of 10 figures distinguished by the letters, and they are linked to the human conditions, Apollo and the Muses, the arts and sciences, the geniuses and virtues, and the planets and celestial spheres. So it's quite a beautiful tarot, but it's not your traditional tarot. And on the bottom of the deck, we have Sol. Leo. So Sol was the sun god, and it suggests that it's the time to use your common sense and act clearly and consistently, which is the underlying energies of this deck. But I do think it's fascinating that we got the sun god, which also we are celebrating in part here the solar transit through the sign of Leo, the entry into and the transit. So nice synchronicity there. Then for the crowning card, we got Duke Doxy. So Dox, I hope I'm saying that right, because it is Italian and I don't speak the language or the dialects at all, is the Duke, yes, and also represents generosity. Sooner or later, generosity is repaid. So that's a nice energy for our crowning card here, and that's all about this change with the stork. The stork can also symbolize, have to do with home and also children and hearth as well. So that's interesting too, especially because at the top there we did have a lot of energies about kind of giving and taking and things like that. The central card we have is Theology, which represents humility and trusting in higher wisdom. So I did feel this energy in the reading already. I'm not sure if I really said that so much, but I felt like with the Lady of the Lake and the Temperance, that was kind of telling us that. And also with the Cauldron and the Hanged Man as well, was kind of saying to surrender to this greater mystery, that there's kind of like there's powers at play, you know, to do with like ancestral gods and heroes and kings and things that need to be played out as well, because that Hangman card does talk about surrender. But then interestingly, this is connected with the mice, with the eating away. So that's quite interesting too, because that was more of a loss card. So this is about humility, trusting higher wisdom. So there's some kind of loss that's happening, but it's part of the divine plan here. And then the base card, we have Temperancia, which is temperance. So temperance symbolizes moderation and prevention is the best cure. So that is the advice, which I think is quite fascinating. This is the base of the reading card here, base of the matter. So definitely prevention is the best cure. It's very true. And this is linked with this lucky clover card. So, you know, obviously, if you cannot get whatever it is, you know, sick or you know, be moderate. And it's interesting that once again we have temperance again, because we've had these temperance energies now 3 times in this reading. So, and I do think that also the earth signs are kind of linked here as well. So we have that grand trine in the earth signs, and to me having Venus in Virgo kind of does resonate with the temperance energies, because obviously Virgo is very much about it's a bit fastidious, but they like things to be you know, in good working order, you know. So by being moderate and being balanced, like it said, prevention is the best cure, you know. These health industries are often got a lot of. The next deck that I have for you, which is actually the last deck I have here for you, is a deck that I really do feel is a good resonant with this Leo solar energy. It's the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And interestingly, on the bottom of the deck, so the shadow energies here are this card 5, which does represent the sun in Leo, and it's the card of fortune. So it is linked to a successful plan, a grand successful plan, great show or achievement, receiving recognition, a creative success, exhibition of talents, successful offspring, or love affair. So quite an interesting underlying energy for this 8-8 Lionsgate. And also, I don't know if you, so it definitely has a lot of esoteric symbolism here, but up here at the top, to me, this is very Lionsgate energy. So we have the Leo lion head with the solar symbol here. And then we have the moon on one side and a star on the other. And the sun is also a star. And like I said, the Lionsgate is all about that moving from the Cancer or lunar type of energy into that Leo solar type of energy. And in the Vedic calendar, it's currently still, they consider it still in the sign of the Vedic sign of Cancer, which I think is Karaka maybe in the Vedic. I don't really know their language very well or anything. I think it is. But yeah, in the sign of Cancer in the Vedic system at the moment. And it is in the nakshatra of Ashleisha, which is the serpent. Nagas. So the Nagas are like a serpentine figure with normally a woman's head, but here we have that serpentine shape with the lion's head here. So to me, this symbol really ties in a lot of these energies with the Lionsgate, this transition into Leo here, beautifully. It even has that Vedic energies here, so appropriate for a Lionsgate reading. So yeah, so Leo, the sun in Leo people are very defined by their dignity and generosity, great vision, and the power to see a plan and make it reality. So when this card appears, it has provided or is about to present a great relieved at last feeling. Sun in Leo is not about sudden unexpected good luck, but much more concerned with gaining the recognition or results one has been aiming for. It represents good fortune in the sense that all the hard work put into a project or situation is at last recognized. So it's about, that satisfaction of reward after hard work. And it also is that successful end of a long, hard journey, the longed for success, and opening a doorway to new horizons and greater responsibility. So it's quite a interesting card here for that shadow energy. The first card, however, for the crown is this card, which is number 4, Venus in Cancer, and it is the card of birth. And here we have it with the Duke. The central card we have for this reading is the 11, Sun in Aquarius, which is your opposite of Leo, but very also relevant because we do have that North Node currently in Aquarius, and this month we'll also have the full moon in Aquarius, and it's the card of idealism, and that's linked with the theology card, theology energies. And then the base of the matter here, wow, number 4, we have Mercury in Cancer, and it's the card of intuition. And we've had the energies of intuition come up a couple of times in this reading, not only with that Lady of the Lake, but also the Moon card has come up as well as other cards did speak of it, especially the Cauldron as well. And we do currently have Mercury in Cancer. It's only just moved in as well in the true sky. So this is the base of the matter. So intuition, and that's linked here with the Temperance. And I was kind of suggesting that earlier as well about checking in with yourself. And that was, so the Temperance is all about moderation. And, the prevention is the cure and things like that. So using your intuition to help you here is... So the crowning card, that was the Venus in Cancer birth card, does indicate the events are the birth of a child, an adoption or increase in the family, celebration of an anniversary, and a reunion with childhood friends. So this could be quite important. And it is interesting to me that earlier, so the children coming in at this time, I do feel they're going to be really important, because obviously all of these, like I was saying earlier, all of these aspects and things going on will be their birth charts, so it will really say a lot about them and their souls and their and I do think obviously there's a lot of starseed energy as well at the moment, because of the also Uranus has been near Aldebaran as well, and the South Node with Regulus. There is a lot of like star alignments that are going on, so potentially even they don't have to be born at this time, maybe even created at this time, or in gestation at this time as well. But interesting that we have that card as the crowning card here. And then that central card, that Sun in Aquarius, which is that opposite position to now, because we're in Aquarius as Leo's opposite, which suggests eccentric behavior, an original idea or invention, involvement in an attention-seeking act, sudden upset, lateral thinking, an influential acquaintance giving a helping hand. Wow, so that's fascinating too, because we do have this, Six of Wands energy, which that does suggest in this card about, helping those that need. And then we also do have Aquarius's card, the Star, here as well. So we definitely have some Aquarian, and we also have the Tower card as well. We have the Tower card, which is that Uranian energy, and that is currently in Taurus. So there's obviously the Venusian energies involved there as well. And then we have that Mercury in Cancer, which is the intuition, and it's linked to history or events in the past. A revival of old memories, or a visit from a long-lost acquaintance, taking the advice of family or friends, and also study in the home, which I do find quite interesting, because we do currently have Mercury just moved into True Sky Cancer, so it will be there for quite a while. Even though Cancer is not the biggest sign, it will still be there for quite a while. So during that transit, a lot of these things might be cropping up as well. So that's really interesting. And then obviously this was to also clarify that Temperance card as well, which was about moderation and prevention being the cure. Also, we have some really interesting symbology here on this card. So they have the Pentacle and the Seal and the Angel of the Moon, which is Gabriel here. And this meditating four-armed figure as well, holding lotuses, symbolizing intuitive and inspired creativity. So it says that, so the Mercury in Cancer energy is, mentally and emotionally about life events, and they have a very protective reaction to these things. They're vulnerable to ideas and causes strongly based in emotions, and respond completely intuitively to such situations. Mental activity goes on in their homes, and they can even accumulate hoards of books. They tend to collect snippets of knowledge like a nostalgic filing cabinet, and once they're on the phone to friends and loved ones, the bills soar. Despite the gossipy nature of people with this planet sign combination, can suggest a genuine talent for creative writing. It highlights an excellent memory and indicates one of the lucky people who absorb and remember information unconsciously. So it's also about traditional family ways of thinking and ideas based in early childhood conditioning. So their thoughts are often close to their family and friends and of great importance as well. So these are the cards that I have for you for the 8/8 Lionsgate. I hope you have a fantastic, portal Lionsgate 8/8 experience, and, going onwards into the month. And if you've made it this far and you got anything out of the reading, if you could like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you for returning, and thank you for all the wonderful likes, comments and subscribes I've been getting. Really enjoying growing this channel here, and yeah, take care.